Well, welcome back to UFOs Above Us. We're going to look in the shadows today. So let's go ahead and get started. I try to always keep these videos to 10 or 12 minutes, and there's so much to talk about in there. I always end up going over. So let's do our best to keep it to that. But I would encourage you to keep with me to the end, because we're going to be looking at material the whole way through. And I'm going to zoom this all the way in. I might as well. This new equipment that I have is allowing me to look much deeper into the surface of the moon than in the past. And it's been about a 3.5 year education process. There was no book I could look up on how to do this. I've basically had to learn it on my own. But the equipment I'm using now is actually working pretty good. I'm very happy with it. But by the way, I'm planning to do one more upgrade. And it's a big one. It's going to be about $3,000. And when that upgrade is done, it will allow me to see even more. But even today, I'm going to show you that with the current equipment that I have, how much more. I want you to look at this, what we've always been told is a crater. And I think a lot of us that view this channel already know that's not a crater. It's designed to look like a crater, but it's really something else. But what we never knew is, well, what's going on in these shadowed areas? That's what we really want to know. Well, I haven't fully been able to uncover the shadowed areas, but I certainly am making big progress. So when I blow this out to about 75% boosted brightness, I'm going to go 72. That's what I've been doing, prepping for this. And then I boost my contrast a little. I want you to take a look at this area that we thought was a shadow and notice that it's not a shadow at all, is it? If you look here, and it doesn't even take a strain to see this, these are buildings. This one's especially interesting because it's a full, look at the size of this building with these nice sharp right angles right here. That almost looks to me like that was designed to be some kind of a fortification. You've got this giant wall, which is what was probably casting some of the shadow part, but then you've got this building going up against that wall. This would make a very secure area, wouldn't it? So you have support buildings out here. You can see them all over the place and all down here. But this is proof for once and for all that the moon is designed to hide intelligently designed buildings. They're everywhere. And as we go through this video, you'll see that. Now, I don't want to get bogged down on this one because we've got a lot to look at. So let's keep going. Before we move, I just want to point out this. This was interesting to me. This is certainly all affiliated with the same group of people, beings. I don't know what they are. Is it people from Earth? Do we have Russia and America much more sophisticated than we know about on the moon, mining helium-3? Could be. I've said all along, I don't believe that we're enemies at all. I believe in truth, Russia and the United States are friends. They're allies, just as they were in World War II, working together. But I think, as we see later, there's some things on the moon that I don't think are ours. So I believe personally that there is alien presence on the moon. It doesn't bother me to say that. That's what I believe. If you don't, that's fine. But I do, and I'll try to show you why. But anyway, this structure right here was interesting, especially. You've got it's a square or a rectangle, and you can see it's a tube. It's got an opening in the center, and then whatever that is. So this whole complex right here, we now know, before we just thought that was a big shadow that everybody thought, well, that sure looks odd having that big shadow. And I did it too in my previous videos. Well, it's not a shadow at all, people. Those are buildings. And they're purposely being hidden from our view. And there's buildings inside here too. I can't see this area as clearly because it gets darker than this does. So even boosting it to the max, you just don't see this area as clearly as this. But I guarantee when I make this next $3,000 purchase, which is a lot of money for me, it's a big investment. I'm going to do it, but it's taking me a little while. There's stuff going on the moon. We want to keep going. I want to show you the next thing. Again, now that we can see, again, I like showing you the before and after. Here's the shadows. And we always looked at these peaks, kind of Christmas tree shaped, and we thought, well, those are odd. Well, they're not odd. They're hiding towers. That's what all these are. So look at this whole row here. Look at that one. That one's really fascinating. You can see it clearly. And this is a tower. And I believe the top of these towers have cloaking devices. You see these horizontal bands on a lot of these things? I believe these are, right there, you can see it real clearly. I believe that is allowing us from an overhead view of the moon to completely make it invisible so you can't see it. And it's taken me a long time to figure out how to get past that so I can get these images for you. But it's allowing us to look at the real moon, what's really going on here. So let's look at it. Oh, there's one more I wanted to point out. This one right here. I come from a Christian upbringing. And my Christian values, this one really was concerning to me. Because if you look at this little tower here, you can see the kind of structures at the bottom, but you can also see a clear cross on the top of it. And I'm not going to show you the extreme blow up that I did of this just for my own curiosity, but this is a cross right here. It's definitely a cross shape. You can make it out here. You can make it out even better in an extreme blow up. We won't take the time to do it today. I'm not trying to offend anybody or cause any lack of faith in your beliefs. I'm just pointing out that there is a structure on the moon that has a cross on the top of it. Take that for whatever you will. And it could be a good thing. Again, if there's people from Earth on the moon, if they've established those symbols that are important to many people like myself here on Earth, why would it be a bad thing to have those on the moon as well? So don't just read into that. It could be bad. It could be good as well. But when you see that cross pattern, look at some other areas on these towers and you might see similarities, and I'll just leave it at that. So again, not trying to offend anybody or cause problems for anybody's faith or that sort of thing. I'm a scientist and I'm trying to share the truth here, what I see. So let's keep going. Let's keep sharing. Look at this structure right here. Very interesting. You've got that, what we've seen many times, the V pattern, just a slight V there. And then we've got these elevated structures. And I believe this whole thing right here is a building. So pretty interesting stuff going on. And I'm not going to dwell on it, but just to look at some of these other areas. Now that you can see in the shadows, look at that. And we'll keep going. We don't have time to bog down on any individual point here because there's just too much to see. All right, so this is the next area we're going to go to, and I need a little less light to see this clearly. I like 60% here. All right, look at this right here. This is fast. As a scientist, this area has got me more curious than anything else on the moon. Even that cross that I saw, I'm more curious about this right here because I believe this is alien tech. Anyone who's a science fiction fan has seen movies that show alien power sources on elaborate structures. This is an elaborate above ground structure on the moon. And it's in the shape of a C or a horseshoe. And if you look carefully, there's some kind of something going across here. And my theory, just my hypothesis, that may be an energy beam right there. And let me show you, it's not just this giant above ground structure and this huge, and we're talking mammoth, miles across C-shaped structure with what I believe might be an energy beam right there. I believe there's an elevated road leading to this, and I want to show you. These, I believe, are trusses. Look at all these bars, these vertical bars here. I believe those are trusses holding up an elevated road, which then wraps around, drops down here, and then here's a giant rectangular building. This is not a rock. This is not a cliff face. This is not a natural feature of the moon. This is it's a building. You can see the elevated trusses here. You can see the roof line. You can see this roadway leading to it, curves around there. I believe it goes down to the back of this building, and I believe whatever's coming out, this could, in just theory, things from the ground here come up, traverse this road on a truck or some kind of a transportation something into this, which then uses this alien technology right here to do something. And again, I'm speaking vague because we don't know what this tech is, but I bet there's someone in our federal government who does, and I bet they're keeping their mouth shut. So again, just another fascinating structure, and there's a lot of them here I could talk about. I just won't take the time to do it all. But we're going to move on to the next big thing that we see. Again, you see all these massive towers. Now that I've removed the shadows, they're so much clearer. Look at that one right there. Isn't that beautiful? You've got a giant tower right there. You can see the entry going into it, arched entry right there. But I get distracted. I have to be careful of that. So let's move on to this area. To me, this kind of is in the shape of a vat. If you ever took science courses in college, You did a lot of chemistry work with vats, and you'd heat them over a flame. And I left the color in this because this area right here has a color different than the other areas on this picture. I wonder if that's not some kind of an emission, because it's coming right out of the end of this vat. And you can see the kind of the hooked brackets that hold this off the ground. Again, this is huge. I mean, we're talking massive. I wonder if that's not part of some kind of mining. There's another area with that color, and you can see it over here. I don't know what it's doing, but it seems like it's coming right out of this little tube right here. And then you see some kind of a misty, different color, smoke, emission, whatever it is. So again, that one comes out of that hole right there in that vat-shaped item. This one comes out of this little tube here in the ground right there. So what are they? I really don't know. There's a lot of openings that we could spend time looking at. We just don't have the time, or I don't want to spend the time. I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. It's not like watching a TV show. So I'm going to wrap this up. We're going to look at a couple more items that were just interesting to me. I'm going to do it. I was sitting here as I'm showing you, debating. These two structures with the buildings connecting was really interesting, but that's not what I was debating whether I show you or not. I'm just going to point this out and not say anything. So there's an area right here, and it has some distinct features on this little kind of triangular shaped area. There's a dark patch right here, and if it weren't there, this would be shaped differently. But you see two ovals right here and right here with dark things in the center of them. You see some kind of an extruding area right here, and then you see some kind of an indentation right here. And I'll just leave it at that and let you draw your own conclusions. So we're at 12 minutes. I try to kind of finish up in around 12 minutes. Again, that was the most fascinating to me. There was other things in it that were very interesting to me, like that right there. Very interesting. This was kind of what I started it off with, and I'll finish with this. There are buildings on the moon. They're being hidden by the shadows. I'm sharing them with you and encouraging people to do the same thing. We all have a role to play in this. So this is Matt for UFOs Above Us. Keep watching the skies. Share your results. Encourage others to do the same. The more people we have on board with this, the more likely we are to get to the end game. And again, there's people that have information they need to share. They aren't sharing. I just want to encourage you. You can do it. We need it. The Earth needs to know what's going on our moon. We have a right to. So for UFOs Above Us, keep watching those skies.